Pots made of clay fill our world, especially the world of horticulture. Clay pots with soil are often the incubators for seeds by holding the nutrients that enable them to sprout and grow. But at any point in this process, a clay pot can be broken. The nutrient mix can fail, and the seed might never sprout, or the seedling could wither as well.
I want to live my life closer to thee.
Pots made of clay are pretty fragile. In a setting like a greenhouse or in a shipment to market or from store to home, pots are pushed and jostled. Cracking, breakage, and the loss of the growing plant are real concerns. Using the analogy of a clay pot, Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians 4 describes some of the realities and concerns of life for a Christian. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. Some of those things come close to home. Afflicted, hard-pressed, and persecuted. Life presses in on us. We feel the pressure of health issues and medical care. Financial management to meet expenses is one thing, but the pressure of pain and unexpected repair can be overwhelming. And expectations of family members sometimes just can't be met. Feeling perplexed, confused, unsure of what to do next? You're not alone. Too much of being pressed hard by life situations, too much confusion and lack of clarity on what to do, these things impact our emotional and mental well-being. Like a clay pot being jostled about, we can fear will shatter into pieces. The hope and promise that Apostle Paul shares with us is that through the grace of God in Jesus Christ, we have the treasure of the power of God within us. Will life try to crush us? Will situations perplex us? Will we be challenged in our faith? Yes. But those in Christ are not crushed by life. We don't despair. We're not abandoned. We're not destroyed. Why? We are always carrying in the body the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. God fills us with an unseen eternal, His grace in Jesus Christ. We carry the death of Jesus Christ, His perfect life, His suffering and His cross for us, His jars of clay. Out of us, the life of Jesus is revealed. Out of His jars of clay come the life of Christ. In every way that you are afflicted or perplexed, persecuted or struck down by sin in this world, the unseen eternal of God's grace for you remains steadfast and certain. The Lord walks with you through the difficulties and challenges of life. That's the faith and hope of those in Christ. Keep looking, my friend, to these things that are unseen, the things of God. Pray with me. Almighty God, the situations of living pull me down and could crush me like a clay pot. But I'm looking to you, Lord Jesus. Sustain me by your unseen eternal grace. In your name, amen.
Thanks for joining us. If you're seeking services for symptoms of mental illness, please talk to your primary doctor or a health professional. Don't have one? Consider one of the resources listed here to find help. And God's peace to you.